Hey. Hi, guys. Welcome back. All right, Cancerians, happy Saturday. So I try to put these out for you guys every Tuesday and Saturday. You'll notice that this week I wasn't around on Tuesday, so I think you guys got one on Thursday because I was down with my lungs earlier. So this is your second one of the week, even though it's a little closer together than I normally would do. But we are starting out with the concept of instinct. This week was my cattle dog's birthday, and cattle dogs are herders, right? And I feel like our instinct herds us. And so that's why I wanted to go with horses, kind of like in honor of Aries, my dog. But also just because I felt like that would be a nice way to look at the topic of instinct. So, what is a character's instinct guiding them to do? Well, we start with the Four of Wands in the reverse, which to me would say we have a character that is realizing, or their instinct is telling them, this isn't what I really asked for. This isn't really the balanced, harmonious situation that I thought I was going to have. We have Temperance, upright. Talk about lack of balance followed by absolute balance. To me, I think Cancerian is letting go of an idea, a dream, a situation, and they're actually embracing something so much better, something so much more real and true. This could be the difference between letting go of an ex and meeting a new romantic partner. And it's like, oh my God, this now it's so obvious to me why that other person and I didn't make it to the altar, or why my marriage with that person didn't last. It's because this is my forever person, or this is certainly a much better example of what harmony would be like and feel like and look like. I'm more at peace. I'm more at ease. I think Cancerian's instinct is telling them it makes sense now. I can let go of something of the past that was not balanced, that was not what I truly had wanted. We've got the Strength card sideways. It might have been scary to let go of something. Four of Wands can be about love and marriage, but it can also be about a balanced life, a career path. And we thought, well, I don't like it, but it kind of pays the bills. But is that really a balanced, happy life? Because Four of Wands should be a pretty happy, balanced life. And I'm thinking that now that Cancerian is asking themselves those more pertinent questions, like, what, am I actually content? Is this really right for me? They're discovering that the answer has been no for a very long time. They're ready to let go of things that are a firm no and shift into things that actually feel a lot better. So it was scary, though, I think, to imagine releasing something, letting something go, unless they knew how it was going to work out. I mean, I think that's really understandable. It was definitely about Cancerian finding the courage to walk away. And now they understand why it was a better idea to walk away. I feel like this is something that's already happened. And now Cancerian is seeing like the end result, which is, oh, it really was right. My instinct was telling me to let something go, even if it's kind of scary because I don't know what comes next. But honestly, it turns out anything is better than something that doesn't suit me at all. So I had the courage to walk away. And now I'm seeing every part of my instinct was spot on. It kept telling me, embrace the change, walk into the new. Or maybe this is Cancerian that has been thinking this for a while, and now they're seeing the reason they've been feeling this way. All I can say is that they already can see the payoff for making this change. Justice. I really think someone was not treating Cancerian fair, whether that was in the workplace, whether that was a romantic partner. Somebody was not treating Cancerian decently, fairly. Nothing was fair about it. And they're letting that go. They're moving away from that, saying, I really didn't enjoy how unfair that situation was. I really didn't like X, Y, or Z. That really wasn't going to fly for me, was it? I didn't see it that way until now, and now I can't unsee it. Of course, that was wrong for me. We have Judgment. We have Six of Cups. Beautiful energy of embracing a completely different soulmate, being at peace with the lesson. It is hard to let go of even things that aren't working for us. It's hard to dismantle a life, quit a job, move on, make massive life changes without fully knowing what the future is going to hold. But I think that this Cancerian is getting the huge rewards, the rewards that the universe has been like, Cancer, you deserve better than that. If for no other reason, then know that you deserve more, know that you are worth more. Let that be your reason to move onward, but do it for you. Do it because you know you deserve it. Because, girl, you're worth it. And yeah, you've earned it. Sorry, that song by The Weeknd just popped into my head. Um, let me ask, what was the injustice? What was it that was so imbalanced? Was this a romance? Was this a situation or a career? We have a Six of Swords. We have a Queen of Wands. The imbalance had something to do with when Cancerian stepped into their most empowered status, which a Queen of Wands is our most empowered. When they stepped into that energy and said, what do I deserve? Because the Queen of Wands will always go with what she deserves. She's not going to let other people tell her what she deserves. She chooses for herself. Him, her, it doesn't matter what gender we're speaking about. But Cancerian shifted into their Queen of Wands energy and said, if I had zero fear, what would I actually choose for myself? And I think Cancerian said, I would choose to leave this in the dust. I would choose to let this go. And I think as soon as Cancerian asked themselves that question, it was like, okay, I know what choice I need to make. Nothing about this is fair. Nothing about this is making me want to say yes. If it was a romantic partnership, it's like, this partner is not treating me like someone that is offering me something that I would want to stay for. I would actually prefer to leave this and maybe meet somebody else. Even if it's scary to think about dismantling something, that's still honestly what I would prefer. If it was about a job, I still can't tell which it is because it just keeps coming back to Cancerian's choice. Is this worth me saying yes to? Cancerian's like, no, the only thing I would say yes to is exiting. If I had another choice to make, I would make a different choice for myself. There's not enough here to make me want to stay. And I think that was the big question that they had to face. And then the universe has provided like a vision of, okay, well, guess what, Cancerian, you could do this instead. You could meet a Sagittarius instead. You could be in a romantic connection with somebody totally different. Maybe somebody came into Cancerian's life and Cancerian was like, wow, I would pick that handsome bearded fellow. Or wow, I would choose that career path. I like that business. I like that boss. I would want to work for that boss. What I will say about this story is I feel like it was very much super personal. This wasn't just about like, oh, well, the job was a little bit dull. I'm thinking this was like, I don't feel like this boss and I are seeing eye to eye. I don't think that they value me. I know that the company is not respecting me. They're doing things that actually disrespect me. Or, I'm not in a connection with someone that they treat me like I'm important. In fact, they may dismiss me. I don't feel like being dismissed. That's not what I signed up for. I want to, feel seen, feel heard, feel valuable. I think that is, as soon as Cancerian decided that, that's when the universe said, okay, so let me show you something else. Would you like this? If you could put your energy into this connection with this person or this boss or this opportunity, would you like that instead? And I think Cancerian was like, hell yes, sign me up. So that was them getting over the fear. And it's crazy because as they move away from this previous connection, previous job, whatever this was, that's when the full impact of just how imbalanced it was really sinks in. Sometimes we realize after the fact that we tolerated far too much. And it's like, I would never have even imagined I would put up with that. What was I thinking? I mean, I think it's highly relatable. I know I've done that in the past. It took a long time for me to leave something that was wrong and really wrong. And like the me that I actually am, I'm like, how did I ever tolerate any of that? Like, that's madness. I can't believe I found myself in that situation. But you don't even like fully understand how bad it was until you've actually left it. And you're like, okay, my instinct like definitely knew what to do. How come it took me so long to hear the instinct? And maybe that's why I'm doing this particular series, is just because it's testament to the fact that instinct can be ignored sometimes. Now it's hard to ignore, 6, galloping horses. And maybe that's why this is like, what has the instinct been revealing, so that we get to the reveal part, not like what's the subtle, soft, quiet message that Cancerian's not getting, but rather what's the big message that this character is getting. And I feel like they're getting the reward by listening to their instinct and making the changes that they really needed to make. With that Six of Cups, this is, I feel like Cancerians going to find themselves in a connection, in a romance, in a lifestyle, in a business, in a career path with people that they really resonate with. And I do feel like it's one on one, but then it also shifts into being like a large group experience where it's like all of this feels better to me. All of this, like I found my soul group, I found my romantic partner. Once I let go of the wrong partner, once I freed myself from that marriage, that relationship, that, whatever I committed myself to, once I, quit that wrong job, then I found a better one with people that I actually enjoy more. This feels like, if nothing else, terrific lessons have been learned, but also Cancerians about to find themselves understanding this was such a valuable lesson. Making peace with the fact that they even had to go through this, because what it was an exercise in asking myself the right question. Is this working for me? And if not, why not? Am I the problem? Is the situation the problem? Is what is unfair or imbalanced about it? To be a critical thinker, I think, is such a great thing. And if one's instinct keeps saying something's wrong, something's wrong, something's wrong, it warrants at least critically thinking about it. And sometimes we get irritated because we're expecting too much. And it's like, okay, let me dial this back. I'm not being fair. But other times we know it's not right, but we're scared to make a move because what if I don't find a better? But that again brings our Cancerian back around to asking themselves, what do you mean? What if I don't find better? Anything would be better because I don't like this. And if I had any choice to make, I would leave this in the dust. Well, guess what? I do have choices to make. Who's the boss of me? Me. I think this is Cancerian leaving somebody behind. I feel like this is more about love. Or an ending of a relationship that was just hard to let go of. Let me just see if it was about love. What was this about? Death card. This was over a long time ago. Transformations were not going to happen by staying. If someone needed to grow or needed to change, it was actually Cancerian. Cancerian was like losing some of their identity by staying in this. And the change that needed to happen was for Cancerian, because it doesn't look like they were going to change. I feel like this was showing up in a lot of different ways. Like maybe Cancerian, was feeling all kinds of, unhappiness. Maybe they were saying, this is impacting my health at this point, my mental health. This is impacting not just my happiness quota, but everything, is telling me this isn't right for me. I'm so stressed out that it's impacting me. And I realize now my instinct is saying, make the change that I need to make to improve my circumstances, to improve my life. Eight of Pentacles. It's also this wonderful reassurance that Cancerian has much, much, much to offer. And if they start working toward not forcing themselves to stay in the wrong situation and saying, how do I keep working on being able to remain where I'm miserable? But instead, how do I work toward exiting a miserable situation and choosing something better for myself? That kind of seems like where the mind shift was. Now, again, whatever this situation was, I think Cancerian had been dealing with someone that wasn't growing, wasn't evolving, or if they were evolving in a completely different direction from Cancerian. And so it boiled down to Cancer needing to make the changes for themselves. Again, it doesn't say this person was terrible or heinous. It just says Cancerian maybe had evolved beyond them, or these two had grown apart, or they really had very little in common. And it was cramping Cancerian style. Nothing here says this person was terrible. It just says Cancerian wasn't content. And, maybe that's the other reason it's hard to make a decision to let something go when it's like, well, I'm afraid to make the wrong choice because this person isn't terrible. It is imbalanced because we're not a good match anymore, but it's because this isn't what I want anymore. I want to confidently say yes, and instead I would only say yes to leaving. I can see how that would have been a bigger factor, a more difficult thing, walking away from something that just feels like it doesn't fit us anymore is maybe harder than walking away from, it's like, oh, this person was terrible, they were awful. Maybe it's easier to be justified in walking away. But in truth, is justification needed for simply saying, it doesn't make me happy anymore. The situation isn't enough for me, isn't soul satisfying anymore. I feel like that was the big thing. Cancerian had to allow themselves permission to feel how they felt about it and to decide, even if I'm not dealing with somebody that is heinous, I don't want to be here anymore. I've changed. I have to allow myself to change, and I have to let myself move forward. That's really what I see in this one after we got all the cards out. And now it makes more sense also why it would have been, something that Cancerian really had to think about and question. Why am I doing this? What makes me want to do this? Is this going to be something I would regret, or is this something that I must do for me? So definitely some big life decisions for this character, but in this storyline, they've already made those decisions. They've already heard what their instinct said about a situation. This could have been a long ago in their past, but Cancerian is still just like acknowledging, oh, that was a difficult choice for me to make, but wow, look at where I am today because I let myself be authentic and say, if it doesn't suit me, then why am I staying? I think in this fictional story, I think that this is just a character grappling with why we make the decisions that we do in life, even if there's nothing overtly wrong other than it just doesn't suit us. So anyway, I think it's great though that our character is seeing that their life gets better when they honor what they really feel about where they want to be. All right, I'll leave that there. Thank you guys so much for hanging out. Thanks for giving it a thumbs up and subscribing.